Going live
Me.
in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, the rare Thursday night deep dive. We got on such a roll yesterday that we had to split this podcast into two, and rightfully so. I thought you
apropos of this season, just like the NFL did all year, we are flexible. I guess this had nothing to do with any sort of contact tracing with you or I, but we're completely flexible. We quickly realized we'd gotten through 5 teams in like 30 minutes, and we just did a production meeting right on the air and said, we're doing like half the teams tonight. Yeah. And luckily, I don't have anything to do tonight. You don't have anything to do. We love talking football, and we're very happy. I didn't want to shortchange. I didn't want to shortchange or rush through any teams, so I'm fine with this. Yeah, it feels like an NFL game on a Tuesday, and yeah, we made it through 15. We're gonna do 15 more today, and some of them might be a little quicker because, like, what are you gonna say about some of these real good teams that once we get towards the end? Although, when we do get down to the playoff teams, the Saints have questions. The Green Bay Packers have some questions. The Steelers definitely have some questions. So those will be really fun once we get to. But we're starting with number 16. Anything before we get going, Drew?
Well, I mean, in retrospect, in hindsight, it was silly of us to think we could do it in one shot. 5 minutes a team times 30 teams is 2.5 hours.
And it's funny. It was like an hour after we did it. It wasn't Leslie Frazier, but it was just random black coach gets hired by Houston. Deshaun Watson ain't having it. He wasn't going to change his mind anyway. So, and I mean, nothing against him. We're finding out a little more about him. He's been in the league for a long time, but he's pretty old. Like he's very old. That seems like it feels like a placeholder for somebody they wanted. Like there's talk of it's just a Josh McCown placeholder and.
Sure.
Whatever.
Okay.
Sure. So enough. I'm already no more Texans talk. Let's slide into today.
I think it still holds up well though. They got to make a move.
We hit it.
We identified the 2 teams that are most likely, which are the ones with draft capital in the first round. So we'll probably pull the trigger. Anyway, let's talk about the Cardinals. Do you want to go first? Your thoughts on the Cardinals? Was it a good season ultimately for them? Feels not like it wasn't though.
They won 5 games 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They almost made the playoffs this year. So I would say a qualified success. Their win total was 7. They got there. It was a bumpy season. It took a Hail Mary to get the one win over a very good Bills team, but they hung with them. They had some fun games. The back and forth with Miami was awesome. That was one of the most fun games of the year. Especially, I think, did we have an over or did we have Miami there? No, I had Miami.
I had Miami in that one. That was a wild one.
That was stressful. Even getting the points there. So, some fun games, but some weird decisions. And that's where, like, my head is, once we get to December of this year, is it like Cliff Kingsbury is chalk to be next coach fired? Like, are we out on him already? Is this a team where we're hoping he doesn't get fired because we can be betting against a team like this?
I think it's B. Yeah,
it is.
I think the expectations for the Cardinals are going to be high. Granted, they're in a tough division, so you're going to have some balance there among the win totals across those 4 teams. Rams are going to come down in their number just because I don't think they can do anything about Goff. I think, and they lost all those coaches. Niners, they're going to get an increase because they're getting all those guys back, but there'll still be some people who are skeptical that the Niners can bounce back to their form from 2 years ago. Seahawks, people are ready to fade them too. So I don't know. You might get a good number. Like does 8.5, would that shock you if that's what the win total they hang for Arizona next year?
I mean, it seems fair. It'll likely be the lowest in the division and still be 8 at a minimum, I would think. So
okay. And you don't have any problem getting involved with the under, right?
I want to see schedule. I want to see how things hash out I think it's very important to see what happens in San Francisco because that's a big part of it. But I'm not crazy about an over.
No, me neither. Let's chronicle what we
under
know.
Or nothing,
Yeah, let's chronicle what we know about Arizona. Kyler Murray, bona fide top half of the league quarterback, healthy or not, or only when healthy?
When healthy, very dangerous.
Okay.
He's better with his arm now and very dangerous, scrambling, very dangerous and called running plays. He's a good player. He was dinged up this year, and they still could do a little more to improve the pieces around him in the passing game.
Okay. Hopkins a little overrated by the market at this point?
No, but I think there just needs to be, maybe yes, but there needs to be like a compliment to him. And Larry's old, and the Kirk, Isabella, all that, it just wasn't enough. If he can get somebody to draw a little coverage away from him once in a while, he's still top 5 guy, maybe the best. Yeah. And another year, maybe give him a preseason with this offense. That might help.
Okay. My thoughts on Hopkins and my thoughts on the Arizona offense are one and the same. Hopkins is the kind of player that unlocks the potential to convert third downs for you. That's his skill because he does not drop the football. And you can throw it in a kind of a marginally catchable radius, right? You can throw it away from the defender in a safe spot. Hopkins will make the catch. He is a superlative catcher of the football. Okay. He's not going to break the game wide open in the same way. He's not gonna break the game wide open over the top like Tyreek Hill. He's not gonna, he's not running the cleanest routes in the universe like Davante Adams, right? Like there are clearly wide receivers that are better than Hopkins and can do more superlative things. But if you're a good coach and if you have regardless of your quarterback's arm talent, you should be able to convert a third down on almost every set of downs if you have Hopkins on the field because he is always going to catch the ball. Now, Cliff Kingsbury's offensive system is an F. It's not good. It does not meet the current standard of today's NFL. His in-game decision making is not good. Okay, and those are two huge limitations that keep this Arizona offense from ever looking as good as they ought to look, or ever scoring as much as they ought to score in a given game. They were absolutely brutal in the red zone this year, and I don't see that changing at all this offseason. Cliff Kingsbury, maybe he goes to coach school and comes out and is a new man and runs has a good year. That's possible. But I think it's much more likely that he struggles to succeed with this team and they have to move on. And I have no read on the Arizona defense. They probably continue to invest on the defensive side of the ball. Like, is that a good defense? Is it bad? I really don't know.
It's okay. And I would invest, they added a young piece last year. They had some injuries. They lost some pieces up front. They lost a pass rusher during the year. So it might be better next year. But yeah, if you can't have a good offensive game plan when it comes to game planning, play calling, play sequencing, and decision making in fourth down and or the red zone, you're not gonna win playoff games. Kicking 23-yard field goals, you're not going to win playoff games, especially when you have a dynamic quarterback and you're supposedly this smart coach that came up from the college ranks, this dynamic offense and young and hip and with it and wow and I'm out on it because I don't believe he is half as smart as advertised. I think it was a kind of a bait and switch, and he's not McVay, he's not Shanny, he's not any of those guys. He's just not good at putting the kind of offense out on the field that you need to win in this league right now. So somebody brought up too with Murray. Murray takes a lot of hits. That kind of worries me too. He's not a big guy.
No, and it impacted him this season. I mean, they started out 5-2. They go into their bye week. They come out and they go 2-5. Ouch. You look up and next thing you know, you're 6-6. It's I say 2-5. They went 1-4. So they went from 5-2 to 6-6, and then down the stretch, they needed to win one of two games to get into the playoffs, and they lost both. And one of those games was against John Wolford, and one of those games was against Nick Mullins, right? Nick Mullins it was Beathard. It was CJ Beathard. You couldn't beat CJ Beathard or John Wolford to punch your ticket to the playoffs. Good luck doing it with a little tougher schedule. Good luck doing it with, without really having any kind of capital to invest and get, decent players in the draft. I'm guessing they draft defense. Would you agree?
It's tough once you get to the middle. And in fact, you know what? I'm done. I'm done for the rest of the show guessing what people are going to draft, because once you get out to like 15, it's a crapshoot. There's a few teams. It's like, oh, okay, they have to draft this way. But once the draft starts going backwards, I mean, do you remember how sure you were that Dallas was going to draft defense?
Well, that was out of need, but there was a really good player there. Yeah,
I know that's what I'm saying. You get out to you get out past the first dozen picks. All of a sudden, it's like, we really could use an offensive lineman, but Christ, this receiver fell to us, or this linebacker fell to us, or God knows whatever it is. Like, it gets really weird once you get out, and that's where I kudos to people who make mock drafts, because that's just wasting your time.
Oh, we're going to do that though.
Oh yeah, we'll still do it. We're still going to do mock drafts, but it's you feel silly once you get up to 20, because it's like, well, this is anybody's guess.
Okay,
like, you're just throwing darts.
Well, I'm
so
ready.
I would draft defense, but who knows at 16.
I'm ready to be cold on the Cardinals next year. I think there's going to be a little bit of a consensus, a little bit of, well, they took a step forward. They take another step this year. They make the playoffs. I think they underachieve. And this is not to say I don't like Kyler Murray long term. It's not to say I don't like some of the foundational pieces they have. Just Cliff Kingsbury has lowered their ceiling offensively to the point where they will not ultimately. And they can't beat Sean McVay and the Rams. He owns their soul. So those are two losses to start the season before you've even played a game. Las Vegas Raiders, generally a good story this year. It looked interesting out of the gate. They get the big home upset over the Saints. They beat the Chiefs early in the season, and people are thinking, is this team for real? Is Derek Carr taking a meaningful step forward? Ultimately, no. They finish in the doldrums here at 8-8, 17th overall. So they're picking in the middle of the draft, and they used the most draft capital, I believe, of any team over the last 3 seasons. But they don't have a lot to show for it, I have to say. They don't have a quarterback of the future. They don't really seem like they have hit on any of these guys. Who's the GM, Mayock?
Yeah.
Is it fair and time to scrutinize Mayock for drafting poorly? Because this defense stinks. The offensive line is the only kind of thing you can point to and say, hey, this is a lasting group of blue chip guys that is going to be solid. And honestly, if you didn't have that, Derek Carr wouldn't look good at all, I don't think, because he is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when he's under pressure versus clean pocket. They drafted a running back in the first round. That looks stupid in hindsight. Ruggs is a speed guy, might have been the worst of all of the first round wide receivers.
Yeah, he's one. It feels like a one-trick pony kind of thing, and maybe that's just how they've decided to use him. It's hard to judge guys in offenses like this, I think, but he's a deep threat. He's a go route guy, and when he's hurt, it hurts the offense. We saw that, and yeah, it's a very bad defense. I just said literally like a minute ago I wasn't going to do this, but they need to draft defense. They really need to draft defense. Farrell came along a little. He looked a little better, but they have big, massive gaps in talent at all 3 levels in the defense. Like, they need help everywhere. They beat the Chiefs, but again, they did it in the track meet. Like, all right, you score, we score, whoever has the ball last, really. And I mean, they kind of did it again. They got right there, and they kind of said, we're going to do the same thing. It's coming, but we're going to try it again because it worked. And the offense was fun at times. They have a really good tight end. They have a decent running back. Carr was more aggressive this year, which was refreshing just from a watching football standpoint, because it was awful watching, 2006 Alex Smith or whatever, or maybe not that far back, like 2010 Alex Smith. That was Derek Carr last year. It was awful. So it was a more fun team to watch. But yeah, they finished 8-8. They didn't really make a big threat for the playoffs. I think with 2 weeks left, they had a situation where they were in if Baltimore lost their last 2 games. It's like, well, so they were eliminated last week, guys. Don't even say this. This is silly stuff. So yeah, they don't really know what they're doing with quarterback long term. They don't really have a defense, And yeah, there was a lot better receivers that got drafted in the first round. They didn't get the worst, I don't think, but they certainly didn't get the best. So I don't know that they improved from 2 years ago all that much.
I don't know, man. I actually think that this was, if you're a Raiders fan, I guess I agree. Ultimately, I agree. But at the same time, if you were a Raiders fan and they hired John Gruden and they give him a 10-year contract, I think you're probably thinking best case scenario, year 3, we have an exciting elimination from the playoffs, right? Like we just want to be relevant and have we just want to be eliminated in an exciting way. And ultimately they were. That loss on Thursday Night Football against the Chargers was a very exciting way to get eliminated, right? Like they were effectively eliminated by that loss in primetime. And I guess ultimately that's what you're asking for if you're the Raiders fan and you in year 3 of the Gruden experiment. The problem is looking forward to year 4, there's not a ton to be hopeful for because a lot of things went right for you this year. You won a couple of coin flip games that were against the high value opponents on your schedule. And it wasn't enough to get you into the playoffs, right? Most other teams, if you win games on your schedule against the Saints and the Chiefs, like bingo. Congratulations. You were not expected to win those games before the season started. You'll make your win total. You are going to the playoffs. It wasn't the case for the Raiders. The Raiders they had some embarrassing losses. They do have the second best tight end in football after Kelsey, would you say? Going forward? He's tough to cover.
Yeah, he's really tough to cover. Whatever. Kittle's better. Kittle's
excuse me.
Kittle's he's not even the best tight end in the Bay Area if they were still in the Bay Area.
Yeah, he's not the tight end. He's not the best Bay Area tight end or the best AFC West tight end, but he may be the third best in the league.
No, he's very good, but man, Kittle's so important to the run game too. So, I'm truthfully, if I just woke up from a coma, if I was a Raiders fan, I was put into a coma the day after they hired Gruden. And I went back and I watched a couple of the games where the offense was fun this year. I'm feeling decent. They were 8-8. The offense was kind of clicking a little. Like there was a lot of long tail. Like Gruden ruins this team situations, I think, and not even Gruden, more Mayock.
And Carr. And there was a lot of long tail where Carr was just atrocious.
Yeah,
but he was.
So I don't feel awful.
So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
They just need to figure out a few things here and there on the defense and moving forward, maybe add a wide receiver. And we something we went over today in the DMs. There's a fat group of free agent wide receivers this year.
Do you think they even need one? You think a wide receiver works in
I think Vegas? You get somebody on the lower end of that. You find some defense, you draft defense, and then maybe add somebody on the lower end. Like it'd be fun to bring Sammy Watkins in.
Okay. I mean, the bigger issue for them for sure is their pass defense, right?
No, their defense. I don't know if you can fix it in 1 year. Like you can only jam so many people into a lineup and make it work. So you draft for defense, you look into the free agency market for defense, and it's still a passing offensive league. Go get a wide receiver. It'd be fun.
Okay.
So I'm they're in a tough division. We're gonna have nice things to say about the Chiefs once we talk about them, and we already had some nice things to say about the Chargers. So it's going to be a tough road to hoe, but it's long-term semi-bullish.
So no one really is talking about Derek Carr or the Raiders in the quarterback market. You notice that?
It's a weird situation with how much they'd have to eat still, I think.
So he is only $2.5 million dead cap if they cut him.
Oh, really? So
last year was the year that they absolutely had to stick with him because he was $24 million dead cap if they cut him last year. Now you can sever ties if you really want to. If you keep him on board, you owe him $25 million for the balance of the season.
Yep.
Nowadays, by quarterback prices, that's not like crazy. Do you think you can do better than Derek Carr if you are the Raiders? And do you try to upgrade now? Do you bring in a young guy at 17 in the draft? Do you consider a quarterback if he falls in your lap?
I mean, if somebody would have to fall, otherwise I'm going defense.
Okay.
I don't think you have the draft capital or the capital in general to trade for one of these guys. unless you want to take a flyer on like a Rosen or, just an absolute project like Pittsburgh did. So,
Mayock missed his chance.
Yeah, he really kind of did.
To take his quarterback. Oops.
Oopsie daisy.
And it's not even because he drafted well everywhere else that they're out of the quarterback sticks.
No.
The existing pieces in the offensive line and the quarterback played well enough to keep you out of it. Crazy. Miami Dolphins. You want to set the table here with the team that controls the 2021 draft? Is that fair?
Yeah, this is the team, and we did already mention them yesterday. They have the 3rd pick from Houston, but we talked about Houston in that spot. This is their actual draft position pick. 18 almost made the playoffs. In fact, is this the last spot outside of the playoffs? Yes.
It is.
It is. This is the almost made the playoff spot. Maybe the worst pick because you didn't make the playoffs. You didn't get your team a playoff game, but you won just enough to move down to 18. So, but they have the 3 spot and they have a big war chest of other picks. So they're in a good position. And announcement time. I gave up on Vikings fandom years ago. Wow. I said it gave me a clear head. It helped. I think it helps with handicapping not to have like a fandom and being a Joe Homer. But if they get Watson to South Beach, I'm a Miami fan. I'll buy a damn hat. I hate their colors, man. I hate teal so much. Like I'll buy an orange hat with the.
I'm a marine mammal fan as it is, so I'm on board with the Dolphins. Yeah, no, but for sure.
Mark my words, it's etch it in stone. If they get Watson, bless you. I will absolutely be a Miami fan. So we talked about it yesterday. I don't want to go too deep into that, but they and the Jets have multiple 1st-round picks. So and they have a young quarterback that people like. You might be able to talk to someone like, oh man, Tua. Yeah, like he could be better than Watson. You'd be dumb not to make this trade. There could be something there. So it'll be.
He won more games than Watson this year.
Yeah, it'll be very fun to watch.
He had more QB wins, even though realistically the success of the Miami Dolphins in the 2020 season, and it was a successful season. All things considered, 8-8 was a success for them. Their defense was freaking awesome, and they took the ball away with a clip that was outstanding. Now, that's not something we necessarily think of can carry over from year to year, but it definitely felt like part of their identity, like kind of like the old school Bears. Like, hey, we're gonna take the ball away from you every chance we get, and that's going to be the difference in the game for us. It felt similarly about the way that the Dolphins played last year. They don't really have any obvious holes on defense. The obvious holes on offense kind of revolve around, the passing game. And it's weird because they have some okay weapons. Their offensive line needs
they weren't healthy,
but
they had a lot of injuries at receiver, it felt like, during the season. And guys that were in and out. And then running back, running backs don't matter, but they were at a point where they were signing guys off the street because they lost multiple running backs. It's still not good to have multiple hurt running backs. Like it'd be better to have your starter.
Yeah, you want Myles Gaskin out there.
You want
Gaskin available.
Oh God, I can't even remember who they signed. They signed somebody hilarious and then cut him the next week. It's like, man, what are we doing down here? Is it that desperate? So yeah, maybe again another great spot to add a free agent wide receiver if you want. I think the defense is in good enough shape for 2021 in a league where you don't have to worry too much about defense. If it's serviceable, get your offense cooking. So go get Watson, go get Stafford, get a wide receiver, draft for needs, and you won 10 games this year. Congrats. This was a team 18 months ago. We were laughing at, oh my God, how big is this spread going to be? Dallas is like
21 points,
22-point favorite over this team. This team won 10 games this year, or this.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
any other year they playoffs.
Yeah, really. Good for them.
Okay, so the offense system in general wasn't great, and they fired the offensive coordinator. That's good. I think that's positive. They need some better vision. They need some better, and that was another funny one where ESPN retweeted a fake account saying Shane Gailey got fired, and then they were like, we didn't fire him. And then they were like, actually, he's parting ways. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Oops. But I realistically, I think you need a fresh look on the offense. I personally give it all up this year for Deshaun Watson. You are a contender next year for the AFC title with him. You are a couple of years away without him. And I don't know. They have the capital. They can get the deal done. I really hope they pull it off. And, I think if they don't, I guess I've seen enough out of Tua that I don't think he's the guy long term. Part of it is injury related. Part of it is degradation of his quality of throw after the hip injury. Specifically, the mechanics were not as good, and that's troubling. Now, I'm saying this very gingerly because we saw the kid take he started like 8 games, something like that. So, and he had no preseason, and he's coming off a major injury. So, in a year's time, it could be a totally different story. He could be the dynamic player we expected. Pretty much everyone agreed he was better than Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert was freaking amazing. So, it's tough for me to really say that it's a failed experiment with Tua. But if you can upgrade to Watson, then you do it, and you do it with whatever offer it takes. Honestly, left-handed discrimination. The lefty, it looks weird when you see it, but honestly, I'm just talking about looking at his throwing in a Dolphins.
Yeah, he's not because he's left-handed, because he's
just specifically comparing the throwing motion this year and last year, it was not great. Great second quarter by the Houston Rockets.
I just saw that they're somehow
that was good. That was fun. Okay, so the Miami Dolphins, we don't really have any idea next year.
I don't have a take until they settle their quarterback thing.
Right.
There's a bunch of these teams. Like, once you settle your quarterback, then we can make some takes. So,
like this team, the Washington football team.
And boy,
we know who it's not going to be. It's not going to be Dwayne Haskins, because he is gone. He is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. Haskins is gone, and Alex Smith probably played his last snap. You got an opinion on that?
I do think that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
And then the
Heineke,
last
not a starter in this league.
I don't know, man. If you're that coaching staff, and also shout out to Rivera, he's cancer free as of today.
Yeah.
So good news on that front. Like, hit the bell, hit the ring time.
Yep.
But the way he composed himself in that game against a very good team, one of the better defenses, and a team that's in the Super Bowl now. Like, that might have been one of the best performances we saw from Washington all year. Yeah, and he played really tough. So
played Drew Brees.
You go into the season giving him a shot at it. I mean, he played well enough, and you don't have that much else on the rosters, but where they're drafting in the draft, and the fact that they are 19th, either a quarterback falls to you, I don't think you're trading up, and you have enough. Even though you made the playoffs, this roster's bad. Like, it's still kind of a bad roster. Like, it's not a good roster. That's what sucks about drafting 19th. You still have a lot of needs. Great front four. They can pass rush, but they need help in coverage. They could need help up front on the line. They could use another receiver. They could probably use a tight end.
Guys, by the way, too, coming up soon.
And they do have some struggles here with it. And we don't want to get into like the cap situation and speculate if it is going down. I read a good article about how it might not, but they need to get some things figured out in the front office here and put together a little bit more of a roster. Otherwise, this is going to be hey, remember when they went to the playoffs in a weird year? Yeah, that was 10 years ago. Again, I don't have a ton to say on this team until we know what the plan is for the quarterback, and we might not find that out until draft day.
Dude, their cap situation is yikes.
It's not good for a team with the roster this bad.
Seriously, what is going on?
Cap situation's fucked, but they're a team that
actually Alex Smith probably do try to trot Alex Smith back out. They have a dead cap hit of 10.8 on him next year. How is that possible? How much money did they give Alex Smith? My God. Dead cap hit on Landon Collins is almost 20 million for them. Oh man. Yeah, and a bunch of these guys are gonna have to sign. Geez, man. So I think they're in the back of my head, regardless of what they do with the quarterback situation, there is a tickle in my gut that this is a team to be faded in 2021. Right? Expectations are going to be a little too high. Schedule is going to be a little too tough. Holes are a little too glaring to fix in one season. The offensive line isn't great. There's nothing special about what was going on with Rivera and who's the offensive coordinator for the Washington football team? It was Norv Turner's son, right?
Scott Turner, I think. Yeah.
Nothing about his system was really like, oh wow, in year 2, this is really gonna pop, right? Nothing said that to me, at least. So yeah, this is a team that's gonna have to get it done with defense again. That's dicey. Their defense is gonna have some attrition because of salary stuff. That's dicey. And yeah, they don't have enough draft capital to really meaningfully fix all their holes. That's not great. I guess we'll just respect what they did this year. Congratulations. Better draft good. Congratulations on drafting the defensive rookie of the year in Chase Young. That was really well drafted by the Washington football team. Great job. And congratulations on making the playoffs. You exceeded expectations beyond anyone's wildest dreams. They cashed some pretty big tickets on winning the NFC East too. Yes. But yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a team that is probably going to be a little, I guess if they're not going to open a win total that's fair next year. And when I say fair, I'm thinking like 6. Do you agree with me? They're going to open like 7 or 8. You think they're going to open 6?
I would open I'd open 7, like minus 40 to the under. Like it's like a 6 3/4 to me. That's where I would put this.
How about another one that I have an itch to fade in the Chicago Bears? The Bears are running it back with head coach and GM at least, and maybe quarterback. There is obviously some momentum in Chicago where they'd like to upgrade the quarterback situation. Problem is, I don't know that there's really many options for them. I think it's a pipe dream that they could reasonably trade for Deshaun Watson. I don't think they're in the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes. I don't think they are capable. It's not going to be possible for them to draft at 20. And I don't know that anyone out there really is the perfect fit, the perfect upgrade, and or someone you can bring in to challenge the status quo. What is your underlying expectation of the Bears quarterback situation? Do they re-sign Mitch Trubisky? Looking at their schedule, it is brutally tough. They have schedule. 3 or 4 games on there that are wins or a little better than a coin flip in their favor. And everything else looks bad. They have an aging defense. They have, they're going to lose their best player on offense in Allen Robinson, likely. They have an offensive system overall that doesn't really have an identity. And everybody's been scrambling to keep their jobs here, and they're all effectively lame ducks. So this is probably the eve of a house cleaning, and the expectations are going to be high. They made the playoffs. We've seen this story before. I guess how does the 2020 year play out for the Chicago Bears, Andy?
Not great, Bob. Yeah, the 3 teams they beat down the stretch were like 29, 30, 31. Like they're all horrible defenses. So all you did was move up like 8 spots in the draft. You have less draft capital now. You went and got the shit kicked out of you by a team that really looked bad the next week. And it's just, I don't know quite what to say about this team. Like, they painted themselves into a corner here, and we said they would. The defense is getting older. Their draft capital is weak. They likely have to stick with Mitch now. He played well enough, and Nagy and Pace are kind of married to him. So it sucks what they did. It sucks that they gave up assets to get Foles. Like, yeah, they've really painted themselves into a shit corner.
Let's see here. Khalil Mack, dead cap next year, $37 million. Robert Quinn, dead cap next year, $24 million. Eddie Jackson, dead cap next year, $20 million. Nick Foles, dead cap next year, $14 million. Ay. This is bad, man.
It ain't good. Yeah, they're paying a lot for an aging defense. They're going to pay for a quarterback who's not a long-term answer. And
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's just not going to be good for the Bears. So, Allen Robinson's a free agent. It could be a bad year in Hallis Hall.
Wow.
And the schedule is tougher. And they every round they're drafting a little lower because they had a good enough year to. Yeah, the fact that they made it, if you're a Vikings fan, you wanted to lose that Lions game. Not making the playoffs was good. The Vikings would have just got trucked by Tampa or somebody anyway. So yeah, it's fun being in the playoffs. But if you're a Bears fan, was that really a fun game for you to watch? Them drop a touchdown pass and then basically only score in garbage time late.
So check this out. If the Bears go to battle with Nick Foles and the current roster they have now and no Allen Robinson, their cap for next year is $190 million. That is over the projected current cap. So they're going to have to get rid of
too damn high.
Boys. They're going to have to cut Akeem Hicks. They're going to this sucks, man. They're going to have to get rid of Akeem Hicks, who is kind of the straw that stirred the drink on the defense, so that they can bring back Mitch Trubisky and not Allen Robinson. This is nasty. This is bad.
And it's funny, this whole division, like Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, none of them are in good cap. Like, they're all in bad cap. They're below league average. They're in the bottom half. They're in like the bottom 10. It's not great for anyone. And Detroit's in the best spot cap wise, and probably even better once they get Stafford off there. But you saw what they hired, so be a fun division going forward.
$10 million over the projected cap, and you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
and you're losing your best player on offense.
David Montgomery's leaving.
You can't even get rid of him and save anything, man.
All right, on to Andy. Enough negativity.
enough negativity.
This is like this.
A lot of cap space. Ooh,
a lot of cap space, but keeping on theme with today, who's going to be the quarterback? They lost their offensive coordinator to the Jets. While he's important, you still have Frank Reich. Like, Frank Reich is a big part of the offense, as much, if not more, than Sirianni. But you are going into the season, as of right now, with no quarterback. So with all the cap space, it's good, but you don't have the draft capital of a Jets, of a Dolphins. So you'd have to make, how does this deal work to get – I don't think it works to get Watson. I think this is more of a Stafford spot.
I also don't think if the Houston's not even entertaining calls.
No, it's like the 21st, and then
they're not entertaining calls.
And that's the other part. It is in division. That sucks. So this is maybe a Stafford landing spot. That's, like we said yesterday, just a dream for him to stand up behind this offensive line in Hall of Fame guard and, just stalwarts all the way across. And they had some injuries at the end of the year, but still a great offensive line, a couple decent receiving weapons, and a smart coach. A team that was in the playoffs. They lost, they lost in the first round to a team that made the AFC title game. They only lost by a few points. A very competitive team. Stafford would remain indoors. It's an upgrade for Stafford. It's an upgrade for Indy probably. So it seems like a dream marriage. Just see if the deal cashes out. And if that happens, like, should we grab some Indy right now?
Probably. I still contend that they should make serious efforts to try to do a deal with Dallas for Dak, because they can give Dak an actual contract where Dallas kind of can't. Yeah. So I don't know.
Either way, either one of those is electric to me.
Stafford. I honestly, again, Stafford, does he stay healthy behind the O-line? Probably.
Better coach. A coach that realizes, like, we need to keep him from getting hit, because with him out, we're dropping. It's a huge quarterback clipboard delta.
I guess.
So here's the thing. The question I'll ask you: what would keep you from betting an Indy future right now? Like, how is there a way? Because I have respect for this front office, this team. Like, is there a way for them to bottle this where they're worse than the number implies right now?
Yes.
Then that's the worry.
They look at their roster and they say, okay, we're not a quarterback away. Not in this AFC now.
Yeah.
Right. Not against all these guys. We have young players. We're gonna want to have to retain and pay them. We want to keep that space available. We're gonna want to keep these guys, right? Let's use this pick and let's draft our quarterback of the future, so we don't have this, this rotating door of new quarterback play here. And you evaluate everyone who might be available at 21 and you make your pick. And at that point, if it's somebody that we're kind of like, okay, yeah, in 2-3 years, he could be a competitor in this league, then this year they're reasonably like a 6-win team, probably, even with the likes of their offensive line being great and their coach being solid and their defense having some blue chip studs, right? So I guess the two avenues are real possibilities. They could go hard for quarterback now and try to make the most of the team they have now and use the cap even beyond bringing in a quarterback and try to get more weapons for him or more whatever for him, right? Another defensive playmaker, a true superstar cornerback who some other team can't afford, like a James Bradbury kind of deal. The Giants got, bringing like a legit guy like that. Like, yeah, that makes your team that much better and you could maybe compete. But I think you're talking about getting to an AFC title game, not getting to a Super Bowl. And I don't know, the thought around the league and league circles with a lot of these teams might just simply be, if we don't have the guy at quarterback, then we might as well just take some swings in the draft and see if we can find the guy.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't like that nearly as much. So I don't have a number pulled up from now, but it's something I'm going to monitor. I'm going to be very indie heavy if they can make something work, because I do believe they're a quarterback away from competing with Buffalo and Kansas City.
I guess if you're Ballard, do you try to make a Godfather offer for an existing guy that will be the guy for the next handful of years, or do you draft a quarterback to go along with your young core?
I think you do both. You take like a punt in the 3rd or 4th round on a guy too. Stafford.
They have Jacob Eason already, who they did a punt last year.
Yeah, that was a deep punt. Like, that was 5th, 6th round, wasn't it? I think
a lot of people had him projected as 3rd round talent.
I had him projected as 1st overall. Remember, I made a bet on that at like 200-1, like before the season. Didn't work out. Did not work out. If it weren't for Joe Burrow, I'd have cashed that too. So,
sure.
Something to watch. I'm not making any action out of now. Another team where we can't talk a lot about until we figure out where they're at on quarterback. A team that we do know where they're at. I guess
the one last comment though, we love the coach.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
everybody's safe. Everybody is safe there. Like they did such a good job of turning that franchise around on a dime in the face of losing Aaron Drew Luck that everybody is safe for
They
years.
won 11. Yeah, they won 11
they can
games.
They can be a little more risky
versus the Jags.
Yeah, they can be a little more risky. There's not a lot of pressure to win now, which I think does incentivize them to consider trying to develop a project.
Although I think Reich has had a taste of the Super Bowl, and knows that if you can get a quarterback playing well, you can get this done. And I think they're close enough to compete with the big dogs, and I think they're better than Tennessee, which is who's up next. Another team that lost.
Let me give you two. Okay, real quick. Would you rather, if you're Frank Reich, would you rather if you're Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, three-way deal where you send your first to Houston, Miami sends their 2 firsts to Houston, and you get Tua?
I don't want to go that young. I don't want to go project. I think they have a legitimate window that's bigger than most people's windows with a quarterback.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Tennessee Titans staying in division. The Titans
they also lost a coordinator. Yeah.
They lost their offensive mastermind, Art Smith. Derrick Henry ran a lot this year. That attempts number is way up there. If they think they're going to roll out at the beginning of next season and be the same dynamic offense they were at the end of this season and give Derrick Henry 30 touches a game, I got some bad news for him. They're going to stink. And the best player on their team is Ryan Tannehill. The most important player on their team might be A.J. Brown. And it's very important that they kind of do a true self-evaluation in what went wrong in their home playoff game and emerge from that with a little bit different concept of who they want to be offensively. To go along with that, their defense stunk out loud. They were awful over the course of the balance of the season. They could not generate pressure, even though they bring in Clowney at one point, early in the season. He was useless. What unwound this team to a degree seemed like the fact that they let Jurrell Casey go last year to Denver. Casey gets hurt, so we all forget about him. But that seemed like a very important piece that kind of anchored their defense, because without him, they had no hope of getting pressure. They had no hope of having cover that lasted long enough to realistically stop anybody in the passing game. And the holes in this defense are serious, which means this is a high variance team next year, right? They could be, again, like 10-6 wins. If they lean into their passing game, they could be like 6-10. If they decide, well, this is our identity and we can't really fix the defense. Like this could go bad real quick for the Titans. Do you get the same sense?
Yeah, and as much as we've said this, like, oh, Miami, you don't need to create this monster defense to win in the league right now. It would be good to have some semblance of somebody who can maybe stop a team 3-4 times a game. Like the defensive secondary needs big help. And they have multiple good receiving options. They found their quarterback. They obviously have a good running back who, maybe a little less usage. The least talked about 2,000-yard season ever. Like that was a big deal. That's a big deal. But I think maybe nowadays it's like, oh, that's impressive. That's like, I don't know. Maybe somebody back in the day, like, look how many beers I drank on the drive home. That's not cool anymore.
No one says that. Come on.
Like somebody would have said that in like the 60s. You'd be like, cool, Grandpa. But now it's like, we had a 2,000-yard rusher. But like, motherfucker, what? You ran the ball that much? Why? What are you doing? Well, we won the division. Yeah, you won it in a tiebreaker. The Colts lost a weird game, right off the bat. This is a good team. But yeah, if they're going to be like, we're going to play 0D and be a running team, I don't know how sustainable it is. AJ, he's a monster. Jonnu's good. I mean, they have some really good offensive pieces, but they need to pick it up a little here. We're going to find out how important Smith was to the offense. If that takes a big step back, this could be a monster step back. So I'm very wide dispersion on this team.
Yeah,
it could be a monster step back, or it could be,
this is this is you attack the alt unders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is like this could be like a 4-win team if things go, up a creek hurry.
So. Derrick Henry, by the way, last year, you want to guess how many rushing attempts he had? More than the second most guy?
32.
66. He had 378 rushing attempts last year in the regular season. Dalvin Cook was number 2 with 312. Jacobs was number 3 with 273. So he had 100 more carries than the third place guy.
And then he played a playoff game too.
And then he played a playoff game where he had another 30 more. Yeah.
Oof. Not great. So I'm look, that's where we're at. We're looking at alt unders. So
man, oh man. All right, man. He only actually had 18 attempts in that.
Still, he had over 400 for the year. Then.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's actually absolutely crazy. All right, we agree on that. How about another team that
did we do the Jets yesterday? Yeah, we did the Jets.
So we're gonna do the Seahawks instead.
Yeah, this is the Seahawks pick, but the Jets have it because of the Jamal Adams trade. So the Seahawks are the 23rd pick, but they do not have a first round pick. This is where we'll talk about them. They made the playoffs. They won a game. No, they didn't. Oh, we faded them. Why is my brain freezing on the Seahawks? What happened to them? How did that game go?
Rams, dude.
Yeah, they lost to the Rams. Yeah, we played.
You faded them pregame and faded them at halftime.
Yeah, we faded them at halftime. They won the division. I think that's what pissed me off and maybe has given me brain rage, because I had some Rams to win the division, and then the Rams went and lost to the Jets. So it all is one big circle with the Jets here. They've done some strange things with the coaching staff over the years. They continued to do that. The defense saw some improvement as the second half of the year went on, but probably not enough. And they just went away from what worked early in the season, decided to become more of a running team. They won the division despite themselves. And
easy schedule.
It's an easy schedule. So this is a team I'm not – if I had to bet a future on the NFC West, it would not be this team, even though I have huge question marks about all the other ones. Like if you said I'll give you free money, you can bet $100 on the Seahawks to win the division, or I'll just give you $25 and you can take and put it in your pocket. Like, just give me, I'll just buy lunch instead.
I'll get a good lunch.
I'll go get lunch.
I got to look, go buy a round at the bar. So in the immediate aftermath of Brian Schottenheimer getting fired, your gut reaction was, oh, cool, right?
Good. Yeah, it was a good thing.
And then in how many hours did it take in hearing quotes and hearing more of the story before you were like, oh, wait, Schottenheimer might not have been the problem.
Yeah.
It was Carroll all along. Carroll is the spoiled milk here. And his vision and enforcing it in the second half of the season after what they were trying to do in the first half worked so well, because this was a tale of two seasons for this team. Like, their offense was incredible for the first 8 games and just pedestrian for the second 8 games. And it's rare that you see that without active decision-making or like meaningful injury, but they had neither of those. And Russell Wilson seems like he's taken a meaningful step backwards. And the offensive coordinator that they brought in is uninspiring. I'm not sure Schottenheimer was the problem at all now. It is complete 180 here. And I'm like, ooh, man, they might have finally gotten Schottenheimer doing good things and then let go of him at exactly the wrong time. Although if it was a power struggle and Pete Carroll was going to continue to make Schottenheimer call a minus CV offense, then Schottenheimer was good to get the hell out of there. So it's bad. It's going to be weird. It's going to be bad. And I don't want anything to do with the Seahawks next year. I completely agree with you. So, I mean, my opinion of Russell Wilson going from all, the top of the NFL in terms of quarterbacks to like, not interested in this team happened, that happened on a dime.
Pretty quick.
I mean, you're not going to get interested in, you're not going to get anything involved with Russell Wilson in the MVP market, even if he's like, what, 10-1? What's the price, right? 20-1.
Remember, they were
at 20-1. Are you like, God?
They were giving him that trophy like 5
Oh, yeah.
weeks in. It was
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And yeah, how have they never found a running back after they've drafted and signed like 30? Maybe they just didn't have a good scheme for that. They had a great scheme for passing the ball, and then they went away from it, and the rest is history. Like I said, they won the division despite themselves. They don't have a first-round pick. They don't have a plan, it seems. The coaching staff is probably about neutral from last year. So, I think they'll do okay this year. It's still a good enough roster to do okay, but it's not like a team that's going to win a playoff team or two. So I probably won't do much with their season win total just because I can never get a read on this team. I don't think I've ever won a bet on them preseason. So no thanks. But Seattle not drafting until the second day.
Yeah. All right. I'm out on them 100%. Let's Pittsburgh Steelers. Massive questions again at quarterback, although it looks like Ben is intending to come back. He's giving them salary relief. He's ready to go. He wants to give this one more go. He got a taste this year. He's ready to give it one more go. Now, I don't know if they can repeat the success they had. So much of it was defensively driven. Now they're going to get a lot of guys back healthy. Bud Dupree presumably comes back, although I don't know if he's a free agent or not. He may be leaving.
Their cap situation isn't great. Ben is going to help that by restructuring his deal. It sounds like Juju might be gone. He is a free agent, but a little bit of a mess. If the defense gets healthy, it's still going to be a good team. But again, you're in a very tough division, maybe the toughest division of them all. Especially if Cincinnati does anything. If it's like, Cincinnati's like offense is pretty good this year, even though it's a bad team. It's a goddamn gauntlet of run through, Cleveland, Baltimore, and then possibly even Burrow taking that next step forward and playing well. So rough look for a team that's in cap trouble.
Yes.
Rough for a team that has like a 38-year-old quarterback.
Yes.
And, but we'll see. I doubt they run the kind of success that they had last year. Yeah, and somebody pointed out in the chat their O-line is not getting any younger. Bud Dupree is a UFA. So a lot of question marks about this team. I'm kind of like just out on them. I made some money on them this year. It's fine. That's enough.
Yeah. Okay. The chance they finish fourth in the AFC North.
I still think they have two talented defense.
Okay. Yeah. They beat Cincinnati.
They have a lot of good receivers too. They are
in cap hell. 28 mil over the cap. There's some other teams that it's just like, how is this possible that they're so far over the cap? Like the Falcons are 33 million over the cap. How is that possible? The Texans are 16 million over the cap. How is that possible? What? Okay. Well, I guess I'm out on the Steelers next year too. I think they take a meaningful step forward. I doubt they make the playoffs again. They're scratch them down as one of the handful of teams that made the playoffs this year that don't make it next year.
Yeah, they'll be like, it feels like a 9-7, 10-6,
8-8, 9-7.
This is out. Yeah.
Yep. Fully agree. All right. How about the LA Rams? Another team that potentially misses the playoffs next year.
This is again another one where they're not drafting here. This is Jacksonville's pick. So the Rams, again, big question at quarterback. Did they lose a coach? Who did they lose?
The Rams, they lost everybody. Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator, is gone.
Staley went to Chargers.
They bring in Raheem Morris as his replacement.
Yeah. I don't hate that.
No,
I thought good. I thought he did a fine job.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so and I said Steichen, he's from LA, the Chargers, but yeah, they lost some coaching. We're still not sold on Goff. They have a bad cap situation as well. They never have had a good cap situation. They're actually pretty close to where the Steelers are, except they're not going to get relief. And again, no first round pick. Yeah. They have some trouble with just being in a tough division. They have some trouble being, too reliant on a bad quarterback, relying on a good coach to hide a bad quarterback. You can't do that forever. Eventually, if the Goff isn't going to be able to do it on his own, it's easier for other teams to figure it out. Well, like, this is the scheme. He's not making checks at the line. He's not making any, he's not reading a defense. So it's what's going on. Something happened with the Houston Rockets.
Oh, they're playing great. No, I'm just a gag at Goff's cap hit for next year is 35 million. His cap hit is 35 million.
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with him. You might have to figure out a way to get rid of him eventually here. I think that's the answer. But yeah, no first round pick. I'm looking at a step back here. Good defense, but that can only take you so far. Feels like Bearsy, or the defense is getting older and we're paying them a lot and it can't do this forever. And our quarterback isn't that good, but he made us into the playoffs. And I guess the only difference is we like the coach here. Tough division though, so probably a step back for LA.
Yeah, I think so too. This is they're on fade watch big time. I guess actually, what we've kind of talked. I've talked myself into Niners to win the West at any price almost. Yeah. like the West might not be good.
Yeah,
the West might have been inflated this year because they got to play the NFC East too.
And not only that, it's not like it's not tough. It's just all the teams will be so close to each other. Like if one team can take a little step forward by maybe not having every single player on the roster get injured again, then yeah, they can differentiate themselves in a not tough division, but above average division is maybe what we should be saying about the NFC West.
Did the NFC East win any games head to head against the NFC West this year? The Giants beat the Seahawks. That was maybe it. That might have been it though, right?
Yeah, they had an easy draw. Did the Cowboys beat the Cardinals?
No, they lost with extreme prejudice on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we bet on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a great number on it. Got a great number. Got them plus money on the money line. I think they closed like -3. It didn't matter.
So I'm fully on board on Rams taking a step back, especially if the Eagles beat the Niners.
Eagles beat the Niners. That was a weird one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Washington beat the Niners too.
Washington
beat the Niners too, right? The football team took down the Niners as well.
Well, the football team was a division winner. You got to give them credit.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns were amazing this year.
I'm happy.
They exceeded expectations.
Absolutely.
Kevin Stefanski should be awarded Coach of the Year, even though Brian Flores maybe did a little better job considering how hard things were for him. The Browns take a meaningful step forward next year, I think, with a fully healthy squad. The biggest question for the Browns to be, you know what your weakness is. It's the secondary. You can address that. And you have an asset in Odell Beckham Jr. that you can probably move for more flexibility and or more something, right? Are you hurt in the opportunity to move Odell Beckham Jr. because the wide receiver market this year is so rich, so flush in free agency, and because the draft is pretty damn good too? I mean, are they going to be able to move Odell Beckham Jr.? Were they better off without him, or am I dreaming?
I don't think he makes you worse. It's a tough year to move him. Like we said, there's a big fat list of free agents. Like it might not be getting a good value on him moving him. So I don't think they're better without him, but he might be overvalued as far as what they pay him for what he does. So, I mean, if you get a good deal, I think you take it. Otherwise you do another year with him. Like we said, you need some help in the secondary. You need some help in coverage. Maybe one more lineman. You can never have enough lineman help.
Yeah, they're solid though. They're solid, man.
It's solid, but it seemed like the depth wasn't great. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Once they got down, it's like, oh, here's a guy I've never met.
Yeah, you can address that in the drafts, round 2, round 3, whatever.
Yeah, like, offensive line depth is super underrated when teams are building a roster. Like if you can have some guys that can step in and play well, and they kind of did. Like some guys, they handled themselves well. And yeah, it was a fun team. The game against the Steelers was one of the most hilarious games I've ever seen. The game against the Ravens was very fun, most fun game of the season for sure. And yeah, they could use some help on the D. Otherwise, they're very live to win this division for the first time since 1989 when they were in the AFC Central.
Hey, we got home playoff games in Buffalo this year. Let's get some home playoff games in Cleveland next year. I like it, man. They probably need to start working on Baker Mayfield long-term deal. He seems like he's the guy. Currently, their top paid player for next year is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. with a $16 million cap hit. Jarvis Landry is their second highest paid player.
They're in a good spot cap wise. Like they're
But they got to start to re-sign some of their young guys.
Yeah,
they got to re-sign Baker. They got to re-sign Ward. They got to re-sign some of the young guys that they drafted that they hit on because they hit on the draft. They did well in the draft. They did well. They drafted well last couple of years.
Well, I mean, they've had number one overall picks for a couple of like that. It's easier.
It's easy when that
and somebody just mentioned Stefanski. Yes, again, I think they got the best of that deal. Whether it was, it was going to be Stefanski or Saleh, and they went with. Wasn't that
great?
Yeah.
I
think they did fine.
Yeah, Stefanski's great.
Mike Florio has an absolute horseshit take tweet. Remember how it was like whoever.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, he basically said like somebody's getting rewarded for losing that playoff game by getting the coaching job. Like, no, I think they probably always wanted the offensive guy first.
Yeah, obviously, and you don't use a 1-game sample to make a decision anyway.
No, that was just him being a horse's ass like he does sometimes.
Let's talk about the Ravens. God damn it. Does it suck that it wasn't Chiefs Ravens in the AFC title game? I'm still raw about that. The roadmap was there for them this year, and to get derailed the way they did and to play as poorly as they did in that spot in Buffalo was really tough. I think they retain all their coaches, which is good. Except they lost their wide receivers coach. He is now the head coach of the Houston Texans.
And we wish him the best.
Passing, or maybe it was the passing game coordinator. I don't remember, but yeah, best of luck to you. Right. Realistically, Lamar Jackson needs to double down this season and improve his performance in the passing game because that is what keeps the ceiling low on this team for now and for the foreseeable future. If he does not improve his passing, which we know is possible because he's got an arm. His motion is a little slow. It's a little slingshotty. He needs to address some things there. I think he could rein in his accuracy if he brings the motion in because right now he's got a dynamic set of tools. He is exceptionally fast and his vision is incredible. His decision making on what he's doing and the passing game is also very good. He just needs to improve the arm a bit, and I think that's doable. And if he works on himself this offseason and he comes into the league next year with a little bit sharper, passing game, and if they make some investments in the passing game to improve the wide receiver core, given that there is a bevy of outstanding options to go and attack, and oh, by the way, like they invested so much money last year in the defense, and I'm not exactly sure why you deplete your offense.
You don't have to anymore. Yeah, you're done. And again, they're they're basically in the same spot as Cleveland cap wise.
Yeah.
They're better than league average as far as cap space.
Can they go out and get the best wide receiver in the free agent class?
I don't know it would be fun, but man, it feels like a waste. And I don't want to shit on Lamar because I'm a big Lamar truther. I like him. But doesn't it feel like a waste getting the best? Like the Allen Robinson, like is that the best use of your money? Like get somebody in the middle or get two decent receiving options.
Well, Hollywood Brown's decent as a
I think having
you need a bona fide wide receiver one.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking silly. I think maybe I'd feel bad for Allen Robinson because he's never had like that number one. It doesn't matter what Lamar does. He's never going to be like a great passer. He's more of he's just so dynamic everywhere else. It doesn't matter.
He needs a DeAndre Hopkins who could just catch everything. Yeah.
Yeah. He needs somebody like that. So when we went through that, I would add the free agent wide receiver here. Everybody should do that. So
I don't think Chris Godwin's going to be available, unfortunately. Tampa has too much money. They're probably going to bring him back.
Yeah, that would be a sweet spot. But they can pretty much almost ignore defense. They can draft. They probably need offensive line help as well. They lost.
Yes, they do.
They lost a player to retirement. They had some multiple injuries this year. They're not getting any younger. They need help on the line. They need help at receiver. And I think they'll be back. They'll be definitely back in the mix. I think it'll come right down to it between them and Cleveland for the division.
We agree. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints and their future? Because this is tough.
Do you still have the salary cap page open?
I do.
Keep scrolling down. No, past Atlanta. No, keep going. No, that's Philly. Keep going. $104 million over the cap.
That seems impossible. It doesn't seem possible. How
the Robin Hood model.
They have shorted themselves into oblivion with leverage, and they are in deep fucking trouble.
So Breeze coming off.
Breeze is coming off. That's 36. Okay.
That helps. That's a big chunk. That puts them. So that moves them from 32nd to 32nd.
Yeah. None of these other guys are guys they can legitimately get rid of, though. They can cut Quan Alexander and get rid of 13. So now you're at like 50 million over.
Yeah, they're pretty much close to tied with Philly.
You're gonna have to eat some of these. You're gonna have to eat some of these guys. Emmanuel Sanders is probably gone. Marshawn Lattimore definitely gone
for sure.
You're
losing talent.
It's tough. You're gonna lose Lattimore. That's tough, man. Actually, shit, man. Somebody's gonna get Lattimore. We talked about a lot of teams that really need to step up their cornerback play. Somebody's gonna get Lattimore.
Ward and Lattimore.
Ooh, that would be sweet.
That's how you win the AFC North.
Oh, that would be sweet.
They add cap space too.
Should we bet the Browns?
I kind of want that. Oh my God, Ward. Yeah, somebody just said OSU secondary. Ward and Lattimore in the mistake by the lake. That is a nice look. Oh man, like we're back to Cleveland now. Falling in love with that team. Odell's coming back. Ward's cap's feeling good. They still got such a good roster, and they're not paying them a ton yet.
Yeah.
Cleveland win the Super Bowl. God, that city needs it. Fuck it. They got their one. They got their one from LeBron.
I'm probably going to be involved. I'm going to be involved in Cleveland for the AFC at least.
Yes.
That'll be fun. That'll be a fun look. Saints. I honestly, they have to blow it up. They have to start over. They're going to lose so many talented players. This was a talented roster outside of the quarterback position, and now they have to blow it up. And I'm sorry for them, I guess, but this is a team that's going to go from 13-3 to 3-13, probably. I mean, realistically. I mean, I guess the question is, Sean Payton won with a quarterback who couldn't throw the ball down the field in Drew Brees. Can he win with a quarterback who can't throw the ball down the field in Taysom Hill? Like, it's kind of lateral.
They didn't play poorly when he was in. They're going to lose pieces, but it's going to be a team that wins. So it's going to be a bad spot for them. They're going to be in that Miami spot where it's like, we don't know what we're doing when we're going forward with a quarterback right now because we're starting a tight end at quarterback. We're going to win 10 games but not make the playoffs. We're going to have a weird roster. We're still a very, very bad cap hit for just in general. And this is, skillage here.
Yeah, I think you have to. Absolutely.
Do you entertain offers for Michael Thomas? Yeah.
You have to.
You should be blowing this team up.
They're probably going to lose. We haven't even gotten to the right number. They're probably going to lose Ryan Ramczyk. They're probably going to lose Lattimore. They're probably going to lose Quan Alexander.
Pete's deal?
Pete, they're not going to lose Pete because he has a $19.4 million hit to the dead cap. So no one will take that.
Got to keep him.
They're
losing Ramczyk and Lattimore. Like,
that's going to suck. Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, you trade Michael Thomas.
And you know what else is effed about that? Those are like the really good guys they drafted themselves.
I know it. I know they
went out and they drafted them themselves, and usually that's how you sustain winning in this league. You re-sign the guys you draft.
Oh, they missed their window
deals, and they effed it up.
I mean, they probably should have been to at least one more Super Bowl.
Absolutely,
they missed their window with some shenanigans in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Bad voodoo on them down
weird. Weird. They tried to hurt an NFL legend and Crocs aficionado, and then bad voodoo.
Yeah. All right. Green Bay Packers.
Man. Rodgers coming back, right? That was just anger after the game. That was way too much. The media ran with that pretty hard.
Doesn't change the fact that it was fucked up that they didn't go for it on 4th and goal. I have yet to hear the analysis from the analytics people. There's some great podcasts out there that have dived into this ad nauseum. I have not heard the arguments that have sold me in any way, shape, or form that the win probability lost in the decision to kick the field goal wasn't massive enough that you realistically have to have a serious sit down with your coach and figure out what's going on, because that was a bad decision in the moment, and it is going to haunt the Packers. I mean, honestly, the whole game should haunt the Packers. Their defense stunk. They stunk, and they put them in the situation where they needed to have a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and with 2 minutes left, just to hope to make it to overtime. And it was a bad game for them. They won the turnover battle, and you still needed everything to go right your way in the last 2 minutes. Like that's not good. And I don't think you can look at this season as necessarily a success, because your window to succeed with Rodgers is closing quickly. And you granted, it's possible you get another solid season out of him next year. Obviously, he has good chemistry with the pieces that exist on this team. Obviously, he likes Matt LaFleur's system now, but there's not going to be another incremental gain. And your schedule is going to be tougher next year. Your schedule this year was easy, and it's going to get a lot tougher. And you're going to have, it's not going to, the path to the Super Bowl is not going through Green Bay next year. It's not.
Also, their cap situation isn't great. Yeah. Nobody in the division made a solid case to knock them down, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of the NFC and the NFL, I don't think they're going to be one of the important players when it comes down to thing, when the rubber meets the road in January.
Entirely, like this is your 3 seed.
Yeah, they win the division, but it's like Seattle. Like, oh, you won your division, good. You're probably going to lose to one of these teams that makes it in as a wild card. Like, it's going to be fun, but you're going to lose to like Seattle, who's coming in as a wild card behind San Francisco or something. I'm not excited for this team next year, but at the same time, I'm not going to fade their season win total unless it comes in at something stupid, which that'll be interesting. Somebody asked, when do these get bet? I will tell you, I had a Cowboys over 9 that was dated, that I bet it the Monday after the Super Bowl from last year. And somebody did answer that they get posted the week after. But I just wanted to add, this was the day after the Super Bowl that I made a bet last year. So they come out pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I'm looking at their cap situation. I'm not sure how they get under the cap, to be honest. Rodgers is going to have to restructure, and they're going to have to extend him for longer. And the Jordan Love draft pick is going to look even stupider, I think.
Yep. So yeah, I'm not bullish on them going forward.
Yeah, they probably win the North, but it's not going to be with 13 wins this year.
Out of all the playoff teams that are not in the Super Bowl, I think it's Buffalo, Cleveland, Indy. Those are the ones we're excited about. And
Baltimore too.
Oh, excuse me, I missed them. Baltimore, Cleveland, Indy, Buffalo.
And Indy is very conditional.
Yeah, they need a quarterback. But the thing is, like, those teams have good coaches, good quarterbacks.
Yes, that's the theme. That is the theme.
We don't know if LaFleur is good, and their cap situation just sucks.
And realistically, it may not matter. This may be just
a bunch of AFC teams. That's fine.
Yeah, I know. Realistically, it may not matter, because they
can't all win.
And the Chiefs 3-peat seems like the most likely outcome.
They'll open favorites again. So
I've seen it already. 550, 500-ish.
Yeah.
3-peat. It's going to be tough to unseat Mahomes.
Minimum 8-peat.
He has yet to be a starter for the Chiefs and not host an AFC title game. So, it's pretty spectacular, pretty awesome to see. Buffalo Bills step backwards, most likely. They're
lateral
coaching staff together.
Lateral to. I don't think it's possible to take a big step forward as far as the standings. Like, you can say, how do you improve on a season like that? Well, you win 14, 15, 16 games. They won 13 games. That was amazing. They did great. They should have won 14. they lost on a Hail Mary. This was a 14-win season, really. They had there was luck on their side in other games, but I mean, essentially like 12-13. That's probably, if you go look at their Pythag, that's granted probably where they were. So very good team, very successful season. They made the AFC title game. They bottled it by being pussies and kicking field goals. And I posted a retweet of somebody who ran the numbers. Like, what was it? Mahomes in the playoffs averaged 3.7 points per drive. Like, as a whole, there's just, you can't win with field goals if he's doing that. Like, wow. That's crazy talk. So, it was sad to see the coaching staff that we had a lot of respect for kind of turtle in the AFC title game. I think that game could have been better. I bet the Chiefs a few different ways, so I guess I wasn't super sad. But at the same time, I thought they had more in them than that. And maybe next year coming back with a couple playoff wins under your belt, a couple more starts for Josh Allen in the playoffs, more experience for this coaching staff who somehow remained it intact. They'll be a force. I think they win the division, barring like Watson to Miami. I think that it's hard to say this team's taking a step forward because we're getting to the point now we're talking about 13-win teams. Like
a step forward for them is their offense returns and is top 5 again.
Yeah.
And their defense is top 10.
Yep.
And they win a little bit more. Yeah. They win right. They win their high leverage. They win their high leverage games in season. They don't lose to the Titans. They don't lose to the Chiefs, That's how they take a step forward.
That's all you can ask from a team. That's great season from them. Great time for, the city of Buffalo or whatever, especially since they hadn't had a ton of success since the Jim Kelly years.
Yep.
So they were, fans were very excited. And we were, again, we've said this, we were wrong on Josh Allen, how bad he looked to start his career with some of the inaccuracies. We just said it's super hard to fix that. And he's another one of these edge cases is like, wow, he fixed it. Like, he's looked pretty decent. And, they brought in Diggs. That was obviously huge. The defense was good. The coaching staff's amazing. And the step forward would be just composing themselves better in the playoffs.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap up here. We will be back next week. We are going to do a Monday Super Bowl handicap, just the two of us, top to bottom, all elements of the side and total in every way we can see it. Live betting strategy, all kinds of Super Bowl focused handicap. And then on Wednesday, we'll be joined by a guest and we are going to go deep into the prop market. And this is not going to be, I like these player props and, this is a player prop. You got to, this is going to be like, I know the color of the Gatorade. I know the song. This is the stuff you will not want to miss. I know the first halftime song. We are going to give you the absolute market smashers for the props so that you can have a winning day regardless of what happens in the game. And I can't wait.
The best feeling is like the Puppy Bowl hit, the anthem hit. I can't lose money today.
Yep. So we'll give you the inside track on all that. Be sure to tune in next Wednesday and enjoy your weekend. Andy, best of luck in the college basketball ranks. The Rockets did end up doing something really stupid. They gave up an 11-0 run to start the fourth quarter to the Blazers, but they recovered and they hopefully will pull off the victory because we got in a nice live position on them. So we will see.
And get a hoodie.
Yeah, sign up in Michigan, New Jersey, or Colorado, and we will send you a hoodie if you make a $25 bet and you send us your slips.
I just had a Philadelphian DM me this morning. He says,
awesome.
He was going to Costco in Jersey, he said. So he's going to sign up. Thank you.
I love it. All right. Well, take care, buddy. Have a great weekend. $92.88 now. All right. Let's go, Houston. Don't fuck this up.
What was the line?
Plus 220 live on the money line.
Oh, from the first quarter?
Yep.
I played a 7-leg hockey parlay that somebody played. And then I live bet a different hockey